Thank you, everyone. Amazing talks, very inspiring. I was curious to ask Yvette, what pushed you to fund and continue your startup and then company in Ghana and not move somewhere else? I think about my personal region and context, and sometimes it's suggested to try to do it somewhere else where it's more in environments that are more innovative prone. So what pushed you every day to wake up and continue doing what you are doing in Ghana and not elsewhere?
Thanks for that question. It's funny because to be honest, I probably still ask myself every day, like, what am I doing here? But I ask myself that question less often because I think working in an environment where there are clearly so many challenges and also not a lot of infrastructure and not a lot of support for people to innovate, to develop businesses, means that I get to experience a lot of satisfaction from my work. I get to experience a lot of impact. And it's all very tangible, you know? And I think sometimes I feel a bit weird how much I work in like the business space and I work in manufacturing, and it's like, you know, even I question like, what am I really doing in a broader sense in terms of like being an ethical person in the world? But then there's so many privileges I get to experience, and I get to experience the privilege of, again, my impact being a real thing. So, for example, just this week, my monitoring and evaluation manager was able to travel to Ivory Coast, and it's her first time traveling outside of Ghana. So, you know, this is the kind of literal personal development that I get to foster through my work. And that's just so exciting to me. That's so meaningful. And I think it's so easy in this, you know, hyper-capitalist world to just be doing, just be a part of some system, even in the activist space, right? Like it's really easy just to be talking and talking and talking and just, you know, it can be difficult to feel that we're really present in the world and present in people's lives. And so that's very inspiring for me. And when I'm like lamenting how little money I have, I'm like, okay, well, I'm having this impact, and that can be quite nice.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I actually wanted to share some personal experience that related to the first speaker and Laura, so related to personal experience in Ghana. The third chapter of my PhD thesis was focused on Ghana, and in that project was a European Union project, and we interviewed like some farmers in Ghana, understanding, what is the perception of climate change for them. And most of the farmers were saying like, we don't know what is climate change, but we know something is changing as it's directly impacted, let's say, our livelihood. Our life is completely changed because of changing monsoon patterns. And just realized, like sometimes policymakers in Belgium and Washington do not even realize the contextual reality. So I really love the fact that how she's working hard to make it realize that, okay, this is what sustainability about. This is how you can adapt to it. So contextual reality is really, really, really important. I think this is one of the, I don't have like a hard theory, but I think this is one of the failure of public policy, that there is a really not enough readiness assessment has been carried out, and they are just so driven by the impact, like they have to have like a fast driven impact policies. So it's just really interesting to hear what is like how people are adapting to some changing behavior. This really, I really appreciate the fact that how you are, fostering your team. It's really interesting. And coming back to Laura, like the second point, I actually discussed the same thing with my therapist too. There is so much going on in the world. We are not doing enough. And I feel I'm not doing enough. So my therapist told me that you are not responsible for all the problems in the world. Even though you will go after this, the problem will remain the same. and you are not responsible to find solution of every problem. So I think here, like, the self-love is quite important, like quite important to understand what we can control, what we cannot control. And one thing she also mentioned, that if you are on the day-to-day life, if you are on the path understanding if I'm doing the right things or things right, if you are keep on reflecting this thing, it just gives you, let's say, a kind of a motivation, or kind of like motivating, like moving forward. So I totally understand, what it means, like when you can't find a solution, there is so much problem, but at the same time, you cannot change everything. You can do what you can. So I think it's a good reflection for self-love, and also to understand, there is limited time we have, there is limited resources we have. So just wanted to share this personal experience coming back to therapy and seeing what is happening in the world. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Can I just, but first of all, thank you for sharing your experience. I think, yeah, sometimes we feel like discouraged because the people that are in charge of leading us towards the future, sometimes they only stay in with the theory perspective. In the what I mean is, like, they don't actually put their words in practice. So as Yvette said, we can't only stay with this beautiful words like sustainability and renewable energy, because we need to put them in the real world. We need to make this difference with real projects. And I think that's why sometimes when we don't see things like these projects being explored in our day, maybe this is kind of a bummer thing. But I think that being here, it's like a fuel for us to be hopeful, I think.
Can I say one thing? Yes, I'm here. Okay, I'm not even going to pretend this is a question, but I had one other thing that I forgot to say in my presentation, which is that like, working in the business world has really helped me understand solutions from lots of different perspectives, including from, like, the perspective of people who hold money and resources. And I think when you are on the ground and you want to implement, it's very easy to feel entitled to money and resources because, oftentimes we have the moral high ground. Like, what we're trying to do is so important. But what I've learned from being in the sort of like business capitalist system is that as hard and as difficult and as frustrating as it is, sometimes the financial expectations that are put on us, or sometimes the expectations around viability, feasibility, are really important because it forces you to actually make your idea work on the ground. I think it can be so easy in many different spaces to just assume that your idea will work or should be funded. But the reality is there's many different things that could be funded and in fact should be funded in the world. And so I think it's important for us, as much as it is to strive for ideals, to make sure that there is a real concrete foundation and feasibility to whatever we're doing as well. Thank you.
I think I just want to add something, or rather echo something, a sentiment. I think there's just, like, common trend and thinking, particularly around young people, with young people, that we feel like we are too late, right, with a lot of things. There's there's this desire for instant gratification. Things must happen now. I must become rich today. I must start this particular business, and with this particular venture, I must be rich immediately. And with business, and more like even with your own career, your personal career, things don't happen like that, right? And I think it speaks more to what he was saying and around that self-love, speaking with the psychologist and so on. And I just want to ensure that to close on that particular gap, to ensure that anyone who maybe is listening to any of these things, I think you need to understand that when you want to go the entrepreneurial route, there are 3 stages that you have to go through, right? And you must not miss any of them. 1, there's the conceptualization stage, right? In that particular stage, it's just an idea, and then others want to make money at that particular stage. It doesn't happen like that, right? You just need to make sure that you work into understanding what your market looks like and so on. But then there's the second stage, which is more on institutionalization. Now you move from just a concept and an idea in your head, and then it must now become some sort of a structure, in the form of a business, whether it's a non-profit company, it's a profit-making company, whatever the case may be. But then there's the last part, which is then what we call optimization. And it's what we're chatting about also later, to say systems thinking and so on. When you want a sustainable and a successful business, you need to have proper systems in place in order for you to run that particular business. So I think those are some of the things that I wanted us to look at in terms of that kind of success and sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your contribution. So we'll have one last question from Kendra.
So my question is for Dika. So Dika, your work has focused on creating opportunities in communities that are often overlooked by traditional systems. In a world that seems to be going backwards when representing diversity, how would you recommend that we move forward or resolve this?
Thank you so much. Our way of resolving this is by showing that the entrepreneurs that we're meeting are actually a part of the problem and part of the solution. But I think one thing that I would love to say to world leaders, I would love them to be a part of this room, is that stop seeing inclusion and DEI as a generosity, something that is generous to do, and more as a business strategy. Because as I said, we have new consumers, young people who are the new consumers, the new workforce, and the new talent, and they're value driven. So if they don't see themselves reflected, whether it is the CEO or part of the company, they will maybe not apply to that company. So I think it is us to stand on our ground and stay value-led, so they understand the importance of that, and for them to educate themselves. And I think I would love for all of us to stop talking about DEI inclusion as something that is charity, and start talking about it as profitability. And I think that is the shift that I'm seeing, especially in Sweden. We're a couple of us that are in the forefront in this question. And this is happening more in the US right now, but as we have global companies too, in Spotify, Klarna, Ericsson, and so on, we're trying to make them stand on their ground and not go to the other side just because it's trending right now. And another thing is that when we work with inclusion and DEI, we have done it in a way that is on the what do you call, like on the front only, like instead of working with it at the backbone of the company. And if we implement it as a part of the company, as part of profitability, I think it doesn't matter what kind of winds that come, who's the president and who's not. We will stand on our ground. So I hope we come there. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your engagement. We really appreciate your contribution. So as a wrap-up, I would like to ask each of our panelists, in one sentence, as entrepreneurs, innovators, what one powerful message would you give to those aspiring to bring their ideas to life to implement a sustainable change? We'll start with you, Yvette.
I would say that entrepreneurs should very quickly find and make friends and community.
I think that maybe my advice could be, do not underestimate yourselves. We need to be our best friends because sometimes we end up being our worst enemies in our mind. So believe in yourselves. And in fact, the motto of PUC Rio is Alis Gravi Nil, which means nothing is heavy to those who have wings. And I believe that knowledge is what builds those wings. So put your hearts into what you believe in and try to fall in love with the idea of creating a better world. And I'm sure that you will make a difference too.
Well, I would say just allocate time and budget to align the team, to decide what truly matters for all the teams and how we can get to that result together.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Yes, I think for me, what is more important is that ideas fail, but entrepreneurs evolve. So do not focus on the idea, do not get married to your idea, focus on meaningful change, focus on resolving the problems for your communities, for your countries, and for the globe at large. Thank you.
For me, it would be that don't just talk about sustainability and then inclusion. Fund it, scale it, and build it into your businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, all of our panelists. So as we draw this session to a close and also reflecting on the insightful workshop we had this morning, let us all remember that innovation is not just merely a pathway to economic growth. It's in fact a transformative instrument for social good that can redefine what's possible in our future as we pursue a more sustainable, just, and inclusive world. And entrepreneurship itself is a vehicle through which change occurs, and it empowers us to challenge what exists, redesign systems, rethink our ways of living, and create meaningful, lasting impact. And the stories and insights we've heard today remind us that each step towards sustainability matters. Each of us here today have the potential to be a catalyst for change, to turn ideas into realities and dreams into, and ideas into actions. And each of us have the power and also the responsibility to be part of the change we want to see in the world. And change doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens idea by idea and person by person. So let us all reflect, what small step can we take today to move closer to the tomorrow we all envision? And I invite you all to carry these lessons forward with the courage to disrupt, with the creativity to innovate, and also the spirit of collaboration to scale our collective impact. Thank you all, our panelists, for sharing your inspiring journeys, and thank you all for being part of this session. I'll pass it to you, Ricky.